Itu, our main character, can see the future. He cannot forcefully see the future, and it only shows a few minutes ahead. It's all his fault for being late, and his ability doesn't save him from this. He knew it was his fault, but asked Ayako, his caregiver, why she couldn't wake him up. He was so late that he didn't bother rushing and took his time. If only his future ability would show him something useful. What an unhelpful ability, but it seems something struck him. The future showed a girl being invited by two older dudes to skip school. She declined them both, and the black-haired dude didn't expect this. Itu happens to be called out for staring. He was told to stare if he had no business, and he was unable to mutter a word. The two boys forcefully took the girl away. He regained his consciousness, and it was rather troublesome. The place of the vision was close as he heard people talking. In fact, the place was right in front of him. What to do, he thought. It didn't concern him as he wasn't involved in the first place. Moreover, it doesn't matter. That's what he thought, but that wasn't his true thoughts. He directed their attention to him and said they were supposed to skip school and go on a date. The air changed, and he didn't know why he said the word date. He was in a predicament on what to do. He was suddenly grabbed on the sleeve. The girl madly told him since he was late, she was harassed by two dudes. He began blushing and didn't know where she was going to lead him. The two donkeys wanted them to wait, but she made haste. She was a beautiful woman that stunned our guy's brain. Under a bridge, she proclaimed they were safe from those donkeys. Our out-of-shape character was tired of running, and she apologized for making him run. She crouched down and thanked him for saving her from a troubling situation. He was too mesmerized to even speak a word. She asked why he decided to help her. He obviously couldn't say it was a future vision. She guessed he wanted to get a favor for his act. He was about to rebuttal that statement, however, she touched his thigh. She boldly asked if he wanted to do it once. He was blushing looking at such a voluptuous figure. She just giggled at our guy. She was joking, and he wasn't going to do it with her either. She declared they have somewhere to go. They were skipping school and having a date. Okay? She asked with such a bright smile. Her name was Sana Fujibayashi, and he didn't expect a date to occur and just wanted to escape the earlier situation. She was a heavy consumer. After all, she wanted a crepe and wanted to try a brand new drink and didn't want an indirect kiss. She wanted new clothes and forced him to follow acting as a bag carrier. A Purikora booth was spotted, and she wanted a picture for the memories. He didn't know dates were that exhausting, but she had fun at least. RSA was asked a question, and he wondered how she was going to bring the bags home. She was casually going to call a taxi. She was spending money recklessly, and she could be a rich girl. She asked what year he was in, and he said second. She didn't expect the same age and assumed he must be a new student. He did transfer last week, and she realized the rumors were about him. She pushed her hair back and told him if he knew her, then he wouldn't hang out with her. He didn't know what that meant, but a taxi arrived, and he was instructed to put all the bags in the car. They were friends now and comfortable enough to greet each other at school. She added some sauce, allowing him to graduate from being a virgin. He was baffled and found it hard to say something, and she waved away. An intenseful day for our guy, who was still blushing. Sana leaves the taxi and looks down. The photo of them both was something she treasured. She couldn't stop laughing at the amount of teasing she did. She arrived at a huge apartment and wondered if she'd see him again. "What were you doing yesterday?" Sosuke asked. He asked if he skipped school. Kosuke hit the spot and guessed he was hanging out with a girl. He remembered the moments he had yesterday with that beautiful lady. His excuse was he was just sleeping at home. Kosuke wanted to stumble upon a chance like bumping into a girl turning a corner. Little did he know it was about to happen. Itu asked if he was okay. Kosuke was mad and told the lady to watch where she was going. However, the fine lady was more mad. Her anger eased the moment Itu and her matched eyes. He greeted her, but she immediately ran off. He wasn't sure why she ran off, while Kosuke was amazed he managed to make her leave. Fujibayashi had horrendous rumors circulating saying she was dangerous. Based on yesterday's events, he didn't believe it was true. The rumors were not confirmed, but everybody says so, and she was into taking guys first time. He thought it could be true, and Kosuke was ready to give his first time up. The classroom had people coming in, and the moment he was about to sit, he was yelled at. Asagiri asked why he decided to skip school. He wasn't feeling well, thus he stayed home, but his suspicions about a gaze on him were there. She didn't believe his fib at all. He didn't know why she was so curious. After all, she had it harder, because he wasn't present. Committee work, she yelled. She had to do all the health committee tasks herself, and he never agreed to such work. It was decided yesterday, and she volunteered, but no boy did. The teacher decided it for them, and the nerve that teacher had was interesting. The bad part was the first task was to restock hygiene and school supplies. She had to cover extra areas. Since she did that, he had to do all the committee tasks by himself. He was fine with it, but she decided to give him a special task. At the nurse's office, he was pissed off at Asagiri. The special task was to watch over the nurse's office until she came back from her errands. It was his fault for skipping, but she volunteered to do such a boring act. He put his head down due to boredom and knowing nobody enters the room. Luckily, his future vision came in showing an incident. A girl was down on the green clutching her calf. Somebody randomly entered the room and noticed the teacher wasn't there. They had a mutual interaction with each other. Then she was looking for sports tape, and whenever she entered the room, she was allowed to retrieve some. She sat on a chair, and the way she used the tape was sloppy. He wondered if it was fine, and she decided to restart. It was so painful to watch that he had to step in and do something. She brought her foot out, happy that he helped. Happy. He made a mistake having to touch a female, and she was thankful. He went ahead with his work, and the end product was very well done. She thanked him for his amazing action. He asked if she sprained her ankle, and she did, and her name was Suika. They were the same age, so formal language wasn't necessary. She had to go back to practice, and he didn't want her to push herself. She waved him off and thanked him. Now he was bored and thought about his recent interaction. He guessed it was the person from the vision, but with that leg, it's a chance. The nurse came back to the room, but he immediately started to dash away. He was in the gym and spotted the basketball team running a game. He noticed her leg was perfectly fine and remembered the vision showed somebody's right leg being hurt. Sukiya happened to be on the ground hurt. His prediction from earlier was correct. The girl in his vision earlier was Takimoto, and if only he was aware of it, he would have stopped it. He walked up asking if the girl was fine, and she didn't expect him there. He didn't know what to say, and in his vision she looked more heartbroken and pained than now. She lost her balance, and perhaps the future changed. A black-haired girl was observing their relaxed conversation with a thought. She realized she had to say something. She told Sukiya to go to the infirmary, and she said she felt fine. She also sprained her left ankle while turning a pointing and arase. She asked if he could carry Sukiya on his back to the infirmary. He wondered why it was him, and because there were only girls present. Moreover, he rushed to help and was a health committee member. Therefore, he was better than anyone for that job. He didn't know how it ended up like how it ended, and people were gossiping. Sukiya was fine with walking, but he wouldn't let her. He didn't want her foot to get worse, and her weight wasn't an issue. She said Arase did nothing wrong, and she assumed that he hated to carry her weight. This was because Sukiya wasn't feminine. People in her class treated her as a boy. Is that so? Arase asked. He didn't hate that, but he just thought of her as any other girl. After all, he was currently carrying a girl. She was happy at his comment. She asked why he was in the sports hall, and he didn't expect this question at all. He was just worried about her feet, and she didn't know why he was worried since they met the same day. As soon as she fell, he rushed over, looking like he knew that would happen. Could it be that you can see the future? She asked. Our boy was sweating while looking at her. That's not possible, and he laughed it off as of course it's not. The drama she saw had a plot like this, and she got off him when they arrived. She was fine from there forth, and he began to walk away. Until she called out his name. She was thankful for his grateful act. Even with his powers, his life only became more troublesome. He always had to help the unfortunate, and earlier today was just another lucky event. But maybe his power wasn't as bad as he interpreted it to be. A day passes, and we're in his classroom. Aras was sitting down and listening to his friend bawling his eyes out. He was crying because he had a girlfriend, and Ito rejected his statement. Sosuke pointed at him, calling him a liar, and witnesses claimed he was princess carrying her. He gave her a piggyback ride, and he wondered how that rumor spread so fast. Asagiri expected perverts like him to move fast at finding girlfriends. He couldn't believe she believed that. He was in good spirits even though he didn't do his job well and forgot to check the hygiene products. He was sorry and asked if that was the reason why she was in a bad mood. He was just dense and Asagiri was just jealous. She was angry at this comment and retorted by saying he was too busy flirting instead of doing his job. She didn't care who he went out with. But he would be going to a health committee meeting during lunch. He thought the meeting was monthly. Moreover, today was the day they would plan for next week's event. He asked Sosuke what would happen next week. With huge ambitious plans, he said mountain climbing.